It's 10 years ago tomorrow that car maker MG Rover collapsed. Almost 6,000 people lost their jobs at the Longbridge plant in Birmingham. This week we're looking at the effect it had on the Midlands motor industry. Today our business correspondent Peter Plisner has been back to the factory site and he joins us from there right now. So Peter, how's the actual site changed over the last decade?
Well, Nick, from this vantage point you can see the land that used to be occupied by the MG Rover car factory now occupied by new developments like Bourneville College and a lot of prime development land. But look over here, you can still see what's left of the old MG Rover car factory, now owned and operated by a Chinese car maker. They employ around a few hundred people in there, but once they employed thousands.
What a day in the life of the British motor industry. The millionth Mini came off the production line.
A landmark day in 1965 for the Longbridge car factory, which when this event was happening employed around 25,000 people. But 40 years later, car production at the sprawling Longbridge site had ceased and the factory was back in the headlines for the wrong reasons.
We do need to realise that it's not our intentions to see this plant become a supermarket and disappear overnight.
But many parts of the plant have disappeared. And yes, there is now a supermarket. The Sainsbury's behind me is part of a multi-million-pound development that's effectively creating the town centre that Longbridge never had. 10 years ago, there were pledges that development at the factory site would create 10,000 jobs, but so far only 4,000 have been delivered. There have been major developments like Bourneville College and Marks & Spencer, which is currently building a big store on the site. The man in charge of developing Longbridge admits that the recession has slowed things down.
It is the largest regeneration scheme in the Midlands, and it has been a significant change in that time. We've kept this scheme going when a lot of other schemes in the region have not progressed forward, and we've always had a real sort of vision and faith that actually Longbridge would be a great place to be.
For many years, this concrete slab was all that remained of a huge engine plant, but it too has now been developed. This is what part of the old engine plant now looks like, a modern housing estate. Here they've built more than 200 houses and many more will follow in the coming years. Elsewhere, an innovation centre is helping to encourage small firms to relocate to Longbridge. One of the first was website designer Anthony Chaffee.
We're really proud to be here. When clients come to see us here, they're really impressed by the surroundings. And it's great for our staff as well. It's a nice place for them to come in and work.
But the car industry does survive at Longbridge, although on a much smaller scale than before. Lisa Ponter and Jeffrey Alley both lost their jobs when MG Rover collapsed, but now they're back doing final assembly on cars built in China.
We were a bit worried at first because things seemed to be going quite slow, but in the last few years it's really picked up.
I've worked on quite a few of the MG Austin cars in the past, and the quality of these cars that are coming out here in my opinion, is far superior to what we built in the past.
It's sad that cars aren't being built from scratch here at Longbridge anymore like they were a decade ago, but as you can see, cars are still being built. These come in as a kit from China with final assembly being done here at Longbridge. They do things like putting in the engine and the gearbox, 100 different operations in all. And even though cars aren't totally made here anymore, offices close by do still mastermind the design of the vehicles, and that's helping to ensure that motor heritage at Longbridge continues into the future. So it's good to see that car making does continue here at Longbridge. Tomorrow in Midlands Today, we'll be looking at the impact the collapse had on workers and their family and what they're doing now. We'll also have an exclusive interview with the MG Rover administrator. 10 years on, he's still struggling to get money that's owed to MG Rover. And don't forget that Radio WM will have their breakfast show with Adrian Goldberg coming live from here from 7 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Peter, thank you. We're on to football now.